We're bringing back the tea time videos, and today we're talking about safety in Ecuador. So before we begin, I do want to say that the views expressed in today's video are mine and that of the Jazzy Nation. They do not reflect the views of the State Department or the US government. So this video is going to cover the recent politically related events, safety concerns, official travel advisories, local safety measures, my perspective, and I'll also share some tips and tricks so you feel a little safer when traveling throughout Ecuador or anywhere in the world. Let's get started with what happened most recently. Ecuador presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio, and I apologize if I butchered the name, he was unalived last week, and that marks 2 weeks from the presidential election, which was dominated by conversations about substances that are either already in Ecuador or that are coming into Ecuador illegally. And I do want to say I am using choice language so that this video doesn't get taken down. I want to make sure I'm getting my message out to you all clearly, being sensitive about this topic, and also I don't want this video to get taken down. If you want to know more about what Villavicencio talked about and campaigned for, you want to check out the link in the description box. This is not a political channel, so I don't want to go into it. I just want to make sure that you all know that this is one of the many catalysts for this type of a conversation. And I want to say that this particular situation definitely highlights how a once very peaceful nation has become one of the most violent places in the world. And that wasn't the case when we arrived 2 years ago. And I think that shows you how volatile anywhere in the world can be. Things change, politics change, and the ideas and the behaviors of the people living in these places also change as well. Vice News recently reported on how substance crimes have increased exponentially here in Ecuador, and I'm going to link that down below so you can take a look. And I think it's also important to note that in Manta, the second largest port here in Ecuador, the mayor was also unalived due to very violent crime. Regarding safety, there is always a possibility that you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that means anywhere in the world, not just here in Ecuador. And protests are seen, and those happen all around the world, and here in Ecuador, people get together and rally and fight for what they think is right. But in other cases, there can be unplanned behaviors and actions seen by individuals that are very harmful and very violent. The fear that can happen when political leaders are unalived can cause unrest in a country. So since these major incidences have happened, we haven't really seen an uproar or an uptick in general public outrage or crime or anything like that, or at least that's not something that I have seen. I think that it's been pretty quiet in my circle and my group of people that I interact with every day. The sentiment is just sadness, honestly, and just a little bit more of an uneasy feeling. Let's discuss travel advisories. In my opinion, it's unwise to travel without looking at the travel advisories from your home country first. But people don't always look at travel advisories and are very surprised when they arrive in a country and things don't go as planned. Gov.uk has said, and I quote, "Armed robbery is a risk throughout Ecuador. Violent crime remains high in Esmeraldas and Guayas provinces and the city of Quito," which is where I'm at, with reports of a lot of different things, which I cannot read on this channel, but just be mindful and aware that crime is prevalent. And I want you to take a look at this particular page down in the description box below if you want more information about the specific types of crimes that I did not mention in this video. So what we're seeing is that a lot of the crimes are in fact related. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but they are. And it is scary if you are the target of particular crime, but again, wrong place, wrong time types of crimes do happen. My husband was at a cafe taking a lunch break with some colleagues, and I am so happy that he left when he did, because 15 minutes later, people were robbed. And that is scary. That is scary knowing that it could have been him. It could have also, with the people that were there, it could have ended differently. In these types of situations, you just give your stuff. Hopefully you are mindful and you don't carry all of your belongings with you. What I will say is on the uk.gov website, there is so much to read, and I highly encourage you to pop open that link and do some research for yourself, because I think it might give you a different perspective. I want to say this. please don't feel discouraged by the information that I'm sharing in this video. I think Ecuador is a lovely place. I will share more about that also later in this video, but I just hope that this video is giving you information and resources and tools to make you feel safer and to help you have more informed decisions if you do decide to travel here about what to do, what to carry, where to go, where not to go. I don't think that you should travel anywhere in this world blindly without having all the information that you can, and so I hope this video serves as that for you. This video is only intended to share current events, my advice, and travel tips and tricks to help things go smoother if you decide to travel here to Ecuador, and again, anywhere in the world. So let's go to the American side regarding travel advisories. According to state.gov, the most recent travel advisory level is a 2, and it's recommended that you exercise increased caution if you decide to travel here or even if you live here. Travel advisory is due to increased crime and suspected civil unrest, but you can read more about these things through the link in the description box. A lot of what is said on that site is similar to what uk.gov also says about Ecuador. Something I do find really handy about the travel.state.gov website is the section on where in Ecuador it is recommended that you don't travel to, and where it is also recommended that maybe you consider rearranging your travel plans. And what I'll say about all of that is it is up to you at the end of the day. These are just guidelines, and if you follow them, you follow them, and if you don't, you don't. You have to be careful about what consequences happen if you do find yourself in a dangerous situation in a place that is recommended for you not to travel to. If you are a US citizen, I highly recommend that you enroll in the STEP program, which stands for Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. It'll allow you to receive alerts, and it'll also be easier for you to be located in the event of an emergency. Let's talk about general safety measures you can take if you are traveling or even living here in Ecuador. You want to make sure you're staying aware of your surroundings at all times. Avoid public demonstrations. Use common sense. I recommend that you don't go out during times that don't make sense. Like, don't stay out all night because you never know what can happen at night anywhere. And finally, don't be that person who is flashing their belongings because you can easily become a target. I want to briefly touch on things that I have seen that have made me feel a little bit more safe here on the Ecuadorian side. I have in fact seen an increase of police presence, especially in places like parks and malls and different public locations, which is really nice. I've seen an increase in security measures as well, but I will say this, when speaking with local Ecuadorians and friends, they're a little apprehensive in how the increase in crime prevention is actually helping. So I don't know, I at least feel a little bit safer. If I see more security and protection, then maybe subconsciously I think that it's working. So that's just my perspective. Now, do I feel safe living here in Ecuador? Sometimes, but a lot less than I did when I first moved here. And I would say it's not necessarily the fault of the country and its people. It's more that my lifestyle has changed. And substance and violent crime aside, personally and just more locally, we have seen an increase in and things like that in my own neighborhood. So that is scary. And I mentioned that crime incident my husband was almost involved in. I used to frequent that area quite a bit. I used to go to that particular cafe, and there are other establishments in that area, and I do not go anymore. Unless I'm like with my husband and we are really just being super aware, I just feel so uneasy going places now. And again, it's mostly because of my own lifestyle changes, because I typically walk a lot of places. We do have a car, but my husband takes the car to work, and then I'm here, and if I want to go somewhere with my child, we are walking, and I don't do that as much anymore. I barely go to the park that's up the street because I found safer alternatives that are closer to me and a little bit smaller and easier to manage. But even those cafes, I mean, cafe that was robbed was kind of like an open air style cafe where you can go in, you can sit, and you know, just like closer to the street and like watching the cars and pedestrians pass by. Now it has been closed up. There is no outside dining, and the exterior of the cafe looks completely different. I mean, obviously the quality of the food and things is probably the same, and the owner of that establishment and the other ones in the area are wonderful and lovely people. So I feel for them. I do feel for them because it has resulted in a lack of business, a lack of customers. And I mean, I assume that they don't feel 100% safe either. And it sucks. It really does, because I really enjoyed getting out, and I do a lot less getting out nowadays than I did before. Like, I really have to plan where I'm going and really have a purpose. I feel like that's just me personally and how I manage my personal preparedness and that of my family. But let me bring a little bit of positivity to this conversation. I am so much more in love with Ecuador than I have ever been before. And I know that's super weird to say because, you know, safety, but I have just found my groove here. I have found what I like. Yeah, I really just think this is a beautiful and charming country, and the people are super lovely here. I'm really enjoying my time. I do wish that it were safer so that I could experience more. I do have a couple of things coming up that I have planned and I have planned with friends. I think we'll be safe because we have a purpose of what we're trying to do. So I'm excited to share those things with you on this channel, like I have previously about the other trips that we've taken. But back to the people, I think that with all of this, I am just more sad. When I was in the grocery store a couple days ago, I saw this lovely older couple and they reminded me of my grandparents, and I instantly got this warm feeling because, you know, I love family and I sometimes miss my family. And then I was so sad all of a sudden because this wave of thoughts came over me regarding their safety and how they don't deserve to feel unsafe in their own country. No one does. I do hope that, you know, the safety concerns get figured out sooner than later. And I have another disclaimer to give. Please know I am not an official source. Please use Google. I can be one of the sources, and my website is linked down below with all of the articles and videos that I have made so far about my time here. Finally, I want to leave you with some practical tips for general safe travel. Make sure you research your destination beforehand. And of course, stay informed about all of the local news that would be important for you to know. Keep copies of important documents, maintain a good level of situational awareness. Make sure the transportation that you are using is secure and safe. Lastly, respect local customs and laws. This is going to help you avoid unnecessary risks. I feel like people that get jammed up and are in sticky situations usually find themselves in risky situations that are absolutely unnecessary. Feel free to leave a comment down below sharing any stories you have about safety when traveling or living abroad, and any tips and tricks you might have that could help someone else. You can also leave questions down below for me to answer, and who knows, I might also make a video featuring your question. Feel free to share this video with anybody who is considering traveling to Ecuador. This is your reminder to make informed decisions when you travel and to also prioritize your safety, the safety of your family, and those around you.